Hey everyone, this is Brett Favre, Green Bay Packers Super Bowl champion, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packers content. Go Packers.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_Access. We are live on YouTube, Rumble, and X, joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. We got Jacob in Wisconsin here to talk some Packers, talk some NFL draft this evening. And Greg Rice already on me in here, boys. He says, Clay, how many times are you going to come into my pod late? Unbelievable, man. The stuff I put up with, I get tongue lashed every evening by our own crew here.
How many times are you going to come to my press conference late?
Boys, y'all think I don't have a life? It's true, I don't have a life. This is all I do, to be honest with you, man. I love doing this. So hopefully everybody had a great day. How was y'all's day, fellas?
Good, man. Happy to be here.
Good.
Talk a little ball. How about you there, Mr. Manscaped? How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm dancing in the sheets, buddy. Did you have it was real nice. It was a little chilly, but it was very nice, sunny. I don't know how it was over there in the Green Bay, but on this side of the state, it was quite nice.
Yeah, it's getting nice over here. All the snow's melting.
Yeah.
Love it.
Speaking of melting, Andy Watkins says, evening from sunny, chemtrail, smog-blanketed Rancho Cucamonga. There you go. All right, welcome to
Here's
the
a guy.
That's where they filmed
All right,
Workaholics. Great show.
Let's jump into some breaking news real quick. Does that sound good to you guys?
Breaking news.
As our good friend Easton Butler over on X at Easton__Butler. Isaiah Bond will have a top 30 visit with the Green Bay Packers.
Here's a guy.
Before we look at the draft board here, gents, how do y'all feel about Isaiah Bond out of Texas? Obviously, that's Matthew Golden's teammate. Anytime you get two receivers, two edge rushers, two defensive tackles coming out in the same draft, you got to step back and go, all right, which one drew the majority of the attention, right? Which one maybe made it easier on the other one? Do you guys got any initial thoughts on Isaiah Bond before we look at the draft board here?
Of all the sub 6 foot receivers on my radar, Isaiah Bond's probably at the top of that list. I like him and Luther Burden third, and Jalen Noel would probably be my three favorite sub 6 foot guys. Isaiah Bond's, grades and numbers, they don't jump off the chart or anything. But if you watch a little tape on him, he is an interesting prospect for sure. So it's kind of cool that he's on the Packers' radar.
Got the nickname of LB3, they say. Pretty cool nickname.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Mr. Bond.
Oh, Jacob.
Isaiah Bond. Where's number 7? Not 007, but that'd be cool. I don't know, man. 2022 played 13 games, 58 grade. Like you that, Jan. 2023, 76-3, played 14 games. Very durable. He played 2024, also 14 games with a 68-9. His best year pretty much by far was 2023 at 671 yards, averaged 13 plus, and then had 4 touchdowns. But the contested catch rate was 27.3%. He had a drop rate of 5.6, receiving grade of only 70.3, and 1.78 yards per route run. I'm just not a big fan of what I see there. He is supposed to be very fast, but fast and not furious, apparently. He graded out somewhat well the first 5 games and then kind of fell off a cliff. It started in the 70s, high 60s, 80, 67, 78, and then it's 54, 62, 71, 63, 59, 52, 48, 42, 52, 48. So it just kind of fell off a little bit of a cliff there. And I don't know where you have him on your board there, Clay, but as far as anything before the 3rd or 4th round, I would be a pass on that.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. We've got Isaiah Bond in the 130 spot here. And as Prince says in the chat, Bond ran a 4.34 at his pro day. When you go to the RAS card, RAS is still incomplete, but they actually have him as a 4.39 on there. So blazing fast, 5'10.5", it looks like, 180 pounds. Got to put on about 5 pounds or else Packers Twitter will say there's no way the Packers are going to draft him. He's too small. Which is amazing how everyone said there's no way they're looking at slot receivers. They're going to go with a big receiver and we're just meeting with Matthew Golden and some of these shorter receivers, right? Which
Yep.
we know they can play outside for the most part. So,
sure.
yeah, very interesting. Isaiah Bond is in the 130 spot. All right, here's how he got there. In 2022, his PFF grade, he was the 848th graded wide receiver. That's not good, Jacob. That's not good at all. In 2023, he jumped all the way to 116. And then last year, like you said, he fell back to 318th at his position. Now, the PFF Big Board at the end of the college football season had him in the 79 spot. The consensus Big Board had him sitting at 48. The 33rd team, Kyle Krabs, has him at 62 with his initial list, and Dane Brugler had him at 94. So if you were to just go off of Kyle Krabs and Dane Brugler, they're much higher on him than we are on our board, mainly because the PFF grades are what's pulling him down. So if I had to kind of put my stamp on it between our grade and looking at, like, say, Dane Brugler at 94, I'm with you, Jacob. This kind of feels like a fourth-round pick-ish, something like that, right? Would be my guess. So
Yeah, I just too. I look at like PFF. You said at one point he was around the 70-ish, mid 70s. Their consensus.
Their big board, yes, 79th at the end of the college football season.
Okay, because he's fallen down to 109, and if you look at just the grouping where he's at, Isaiah Bond at 109, Torrey Horton 135, Pat Bryant 152, Kyle Williams 160, Tesla at 166, and Nick Nash at 168. In that pocket, he is my least desirable out of the guys I just mentioned there. I'd much rather pull the trigger on a guy like Horton, Bryant, or even a Kyle Williams or a Isaac Tesla.
Got it. Tim, anything else you'd like to add to this this breaking news here, sir, with Isaiah Bond being on the Packers' radar?
Yeah, since I'm the only one high on him, I'll I'll go ahead and agree with you guys. I'm not saying he's a first round pick or anything, but I think outside of the fourth round and beyond, I think he can do a lot worse. And I think if they're looking at a guy like this, it kind of proves your point about Jaden Reed that Bird is more than a slot receiver. And if they're looking at adding depth in that position, chances are we're going to see Reed out wide a lot more in 2025. So something to look forward to. I mean, just because it's a top 30 visit doesn't mean that we're drafting the guy. But, I respect the point that he doesn't jump off the charts or anything. But there's certainly guys that are worse than him for sure in those mid to late rounds.
It's a hell of a way to say it. There's certainly guys who are worse than him.
There's guys
I love
worse.
the positivity. Drew D says LaFleur's offense is really built around guys or wide receivers that can separate, not the big 50-50 guys. That's a fact. And it's amazing how so many people don't want to accept that. It doesn't mean you wouldn't take a big 50-50 guy, right? But if the board falls right and he can run routes and play with a little flexibility in the slot and go to Z, go to X, do all the things you need him to do, maybe run a jet sweep or two like Christian Watson did his rookie year, which he excelled at. I think it's a great point, Drew, for sure, man. And again, we just got to stop trying to put everything into one group, into one, you know what I'm talking about? Like everybody tries to compartmentalize wide receivers as well. Because they're under 6 feet, well, they've got to be a slot. That's simply not true. It isn't. And that's where you got to go look at the snaps, look at the success they had, look at the contested catch like Jacob just did, and see exactly, how everything kind of falls into place, which we're going to do a really, really cool exercise. We're going to wrap up our wide receiver breakdown here in just a second. It's going to be a blast. You guys know we have already talked about trying to zero in on the wide receivers this year and which ones really pop to us. It's easy to just go, give me Tet McMillan, give me Matthew Gold. You know what I mean? And it's cool. We're going to take that extensive search that we've done up to this point, and we're going to break it down even further right now. Is there anybody else you want to see on the big board here in terms of wide receivers since we're talking about it? And
I would just real quick would like to add to Isaiah Bond convo. Look at his slot snaps. They're in the minority. Most of his snaps were out wide. So if you're trying to put him in that box as a slot guy, I don't think they're looking at him that way.
Yeah, definitely. Jacob, anything you want to see on the board before we move on? And you guys can find this big board in our Patreon group. Just scan the QR code in the upper right, or just go to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. We make it accessible to anybody who's a member in there. One of the many, many perks there. Jacob, anybody you want to see here wide receiver wise while we're talking about it?
No, just to kind of put a pin in this, J. Cole says, I'm high on him too, Time. I think he meant Tim. Great 4th or 5th round option. It reminds me of We Love You Long Tim.
It made me
Confident Ron.
Love you long, Tim.
Love you long, Tim. Boobs.
All right, perfect segue. Let's start with some more receiver here, guys. All right, so I spent about. I'm embarrassed. I had to wait on it. I'm embarrassed to say how much time I spent working on this week, and this final part today took an hour, about 2 hours to put together to finish this up. You guys know how we talked about, all right, here's the top receivers listed in order on our PTA big board. We talked about that. And then we said, all right, what was a big deal this year? What was a problem for the Packers were the drop issues. Okay. So what's the other thing that Packers wide receivers struggled with? It was against man coverage. So last night we unveiled, okay, let's take the top PTA wide receivers in order anyway, all wide receivers on the board, put them in order, and then look at the drop percentage and see who pops. And we came out with 4 wide receivers. You guys remember that, right? Now we're taking it a step further with man coverage, okay? So here is the article we put together today. So one last piece to the wide receiver puzzle. We recently uncovered 4 players who truly jump off the page in drop percentage while sitting fairly high on the PTA big board. Those receivers and what pick they carry value at are Jaden Higgins at 54, Jack Besh at 87, Pat Bryant at 124, and Elijah Badger at 198. Now, let's add the final piece of the puzzle, and that is another weakness the Packers receivers struggle with in 2024, man coverage. Below, we have listed every wide receiver on the board in the order of their success against man coverage measured by their PFF grade against man. I had to decide between passer rating when in man coverage, like passer rating when targeted in man coverage, or go with the grade. I went with the grade because I feel like it's a little deeper than just the passer rating when targeted. And there's nothing wrong with cross-checking those two. But here it is. Look who's at the top of the list, boys. Receiving grade versus man coverage. On the far right over here is what you're going to want to look at. These are the columns we already worked on. On the far left is the PTA big board order. The middle is sorted by lowest drop percentage. And then on the right, we have receiving grade versus man coverage. At the top of the list, Trey Harris with a 95 grade against man coverage.
Here's the guy.
Second is Kyle Williams. No matter how many times I mute this damn phone, it still dings. Because, you remember the old days with the flip phones where you just turn the volume down and the volume turned down? Now you got 6 different volumes. I'm a boomer. That's what I am. I'm a boomer. I would say I'm my dad, but I don't even know if my dad has a phone, to be honest with you. Kyle Williams is second at 89.8 against man coverage. Third is Tetaroa McMillan out of Arizona, 89.1. You want to know why those two guys are getting the most hype, or not the most hype, but a lot of the hype? It's because they can win in man coverage and they're big-bodied receivers, right? Number 4 really surprised me. Elijah Badger out of Florida, right? Elijah Badger out of Florida, 88.5 against man coverage. Look at number 5, Tim. Read that to the folks at home.
Here's the guy.
That's all you need to know. Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State at 87.8. Next, you've got Xavier Restrepo. He's still running his 40-yard dash. They're going to clock it soon. You've got 87.
Did you see he talked about that?
What's that?
Restrepo tweeted about that today.
What did he say?
He was talking about his hammy tightened up on him, and it's just one of them things. So I don't think that's I don't think he wants to take that 40 time to the bank. He's probably saying that he's a little quicker than that.
Yeah, I tell Mandy my hammy tightened up when I need to take the trash down to the road.
Sure.
I just had maybe tomorrow. Maybe we'll get it tomorrow. So Xavier Restrepo, 87.6. Listen, whether it was a hammy or he's just slow, he knows how to separate, he knows how to create space. There's no doubt about that. Jordan Watkins out of Ole Miss, 84.1. With Lane Kiffin and Jackson Dart, they love those receivers, didn't they? You got 2 of the best at against man coverage coming out of Ole Miss this year. Andrew Armstrong out of Arkansas at 83.3. Nick Nash out of San Jose State at 82.1. Pat Bryant out of Illinois at 81.5. That rounds out the top 10. Is there anybody you want to try to find out where they're at on this list before we kind of unveil what we uncovered here?
Can you scroll down a little more?
Absolutely.
I'm going to look at Jalen Royals there, Igbuka, Tez Johnson, Ja'Cory Brooks, a couple guys, Luther Burden, some guys on the –
Jalen Knowles down there a little bit farther than I thought he'd be. Jack Besh, Torrey Horton.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that's not bad. It's not terrible scores or nothing, but we're getting to the point now. So the Deontay Thornton, that's getting into a little less than desirable. Rock Taylor. Okay. Matthew Golden. Wow.
Yeah, that was a
Five,
big
two.
one for me, right?
Savion just keeps like he's falling farther and farther down.
Right. When you peel a couple layers back, right, you start to
There's
find.
Bond.
Yep. So there's Isaac Tesla.
Oh man.
Toward the bottom, right? Look at Efton Chisholm. Never mind. We couldn't find a grade on him. I apologize. I looked everywhere. Those are the three guys we couldn't find one on. So with that being said, right, here's the final word on this. Now that we have taken a look at success versus man coverage, several things become clear. Trey Harris and Ted McMillan are monsters against man, which, along with their size, explains why they carry so much value this year. However, Jaden Higgins once again separates himself from the pack with his 87.8 versus man. Jack Besh, while still solid at 72.4, comes in lower than Pat Bryant at 81.5. And Elijah Badger might be the most intriguing with this dominant 88.5 versus man coverage. With all that being said, each of these receivers would be great at their projected picks, but three really seem like great value, and they are Jaden Higgins at 54, Pat Bryant at 124, and Elijah Badger at 198. Any two of these combinations could reset the Packers wide receiver room for success against a glaring weakness. And, the reason I mention this, guys, is Jack Besh was on the last list. You guys remember? He was on the list because of low drop percentage. Doesn't mean Jack Besh isn't worth a third-round pick, which is right around where we've got him on our board. However, some people were saying he may go in the first. I'm hearing that now from scout chatter. So he drops off the list now, and now we got it zeroed in on three wide receivers. Now, please don't kid yourself into thinking we are the only three people on the face of the earth that understands this. I guarantee you there are GMs and draft rooms and scouts all over the league that know this information. They may not last to 54, 124, and 198, to be honest with you. So you might want to be prepared to take these guys one round earlier, mainly Pat Bryant and Elijah Badger, because it is going to be hard to take Jaden Higgins in the first round, right? Although, if you remove the names and you just said, all right, look, here's what this unnamed player did against man coverage. Here's his drop percentage. Here's his size. Here's his measurables. Here's his speed. You probably go, damn, Jaden Higgins is a first-round pick. So let me get your all's thoughts. Let's go around the horn here. Let's have a little conversation about it. Let's see if we can figure out what's the best draft strategy for the Packers in terms of how to get at least one of these three players here.
D tackle in the first round, Jaden Higgins at 54. Let's go. In a perfect world.
Right.
In a perfect world. I don't see Goody going to the first round for a wideout. That's just
I don't either, man.
Yeah.
There's too much value after it, right? I mean, you just and with Ted McMillan, you look at him and you go, okay, yeah, he's great against man coverage. However, we talked about the drop percentage was like in the 7s, which is still good, don't get me wrong, but it ain't nowhere near Jaden Higgins at 2%. You got to be looking at that going, if you shoot your shot in the first round on a wide receiver, and now you kind of back yourself in the corner where you couldn't potentially take Jaden Higgins or Trey Harris I'm still on Trey Harris. Please don't take this the wrong way. You got to understand, guys play, what did we struggle against last year? It was man coverage. So why not go get Trey Harris, who dominated against man coverage, and work him into the offense? And now you've improved that aspect of your offense, and more specifically your passing game. And that could be a huge step in the right direction. We're just simply saying these three really did separate themselves. Jacob, thinking about a mock draft, right? Like if you were drafting right now, how would you try to position yourself to land one of these three? Or do you disagree with landing one of these three and think, I think I'd rather go this direction in the first round or maybe the second?
No, I kind of will piggyback slightly off what Tim said. I think what I would do in the first round is absolutely best man available with an emphasis maybe towards D-line and edge. If that is not there, if a Colson Loveland, if it's Pierce, if it's Mimbu, if it's something crazy like that we just, even if it's not a glaring need, you take the best guy available in that first round. You come around in the second, you either get Jaden Higgins or you get Trey Harris, whatever one's available. If that doesn't work, I would probably look for a cornerback in that situation, or again, best man available. I would start targeting at least either Jack Besh or Pat Bryant, probably right around that late second to third round. And if those guys don't go through, if you got nothing in the first 2-3 rounds, then I'm definitely targeting Pat Bryant, and I'm definitely going to be targeting Elijah Badger later in the later in like maybe 5th, 6th rounds kind of thing. I mean, it's not necessarily that, again, I hate going into a wide receiver or going into a draft saying we need to pick a wide receiver in the 2nd. We need to do this in the 3rd. It's
right.
When the draft gets done, we need to have had at least one shot at wide receiver. Like we need to, it doesn't necessarily, this gives us a good idea as to like throughout the draft, like Tim said, I don't think we're going wide receiver in the 1st. I think there's a really big, giant bullseye in the 2nd and 3rd rounds. But if we're, for some reason we get through those rounds and it just didn't work out the way the board didn't fall the way we wanted to, I think it's great to find certain players like a Pat Bryant, like a Badger, even maybe a couple of these other guys that are kind of waiting in the wings a little bit later, like Jalen Royals, just some of those guys that you can kind of come back around and circle back and just make sure that you had a decent draft. But
yeah, we got Emilio joining us now. Emilio, I don't know how much of what we've talked about that you've heard. We're just kind of completing this exercise that I've been working on the last few days, where now what we've added, you got the PTA big board on the left with our wide receivers ranked there. We know you've got access to that board as well. In the middle is the receivers resorted at drop percentage, right? And then on the right, you have receiving grade versus man coverage. You can see the list there. You got Trey Harris, Kyle Williams, Ted McMillan, Elijah Badger again, Jaden Higgins rounding out the top 5 there. What do you think, man?
By the way, Emilio, congratulations.
Thank you, Jacob.
Here's
Not
a
sure,
guy.
not sure what for, but I appreciate it.
Another Taco Tuesday.
Oh, yeah. One of the 52 I enjoy every year. Yeah, but no, it's good to see. I like that you've been breaking it down. I'm happy you put it into a table, Clay. That's huge. I'm glad we got that squared away. And yeah, listening to DJ and Ross and all them, you're hit or miss now on the wide receivers. I'm hearing Matthew Golden's probably first, going to be the number 1 first wide receiver to go.
It's crazy.
And they're thinking maybe only, 1 or 2 receivers could be going in the first round. It's just going to be a lot different. Out of the 30 that average, getting drafted each year, this is going to be a different draft. I think you can find a lot of talent, maybe not top end number 1, but if it were to be the number 1, it had to be Travis Hunter. Then you can go from there. But
right. Yeah. Look at Matthew Golden, man, in the 42 spot at 65.2 against man coverage. Isn't that wild? I mean, that's just crazy. So he's obviously just a zone demon. Don't get me wrong.
Did you say 65?
65%.
65%. That's correct, Sir Murphy. Also, Emilio, we broke some news here just a second ago through Easton Butler. Isaiah Bond is scheduled to be a top 30 visit. You got anything to add to that before we
probably just checking to see if that time that he said that he was going to run and didn't run is if he's able to do that, right? Let's get him on one of our stopwatches. Besides that,
439 is on the official RAS card. However,
did he say he was going to break 429 though?
Yeah. He said I thought he said he was going to break 4.2, like he was going to run a 4.1. I could be wrong though. So
I don't know.
No, you're
about
right.
that.
You're right. He came out talking.
He came out talking, didn't back it up. So the Packers just got to confirm it. He could be one of the 2/3 that don't get drafted, but it is one of the targets. I think you just got to kind of know, pick his brain a little bit.
Yeah. Ron Samble in the chat says Jack Bech is going to go in the 2nd round. I think he's the guy I'd love Goot to pick and then take another in the 4th or the 5th. And listen, I'm not down on Jack Bech. I think Jack Bech is going to be a good receiver. I really do. And when you look at where he's at on our board, on our PTA big board, right? I left that percentage up there. That's my fault. We have him in the 10 spot amongst wide receivers. So he's the 10th best wide receiver. And then if you look on the drop percentage, in the drop percentage, only 1.6% drop rate is just insane. However, against man coverage, like we pointed out earlier here, Jack Bech is in the 27th spot at 72.4. It doesn't mean he can't get better at man coverage. It doesn't even mean 72.4 is that bad. But, boy, when you see Trey Harris and you see these guys at the top, Trey Harris, Kyle Williams, and Ted McMillan, along with Elijah Badger and Jaden Higgins, that's crazy. Trey Harris, 95.0 is just nuts. That dude is
got that stick-em on the gloves.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you.
You know what? I agree with Ron, though. I think, we've heard Jack Bech projected possibly 1st round. We were just talking about that. And I don't see it, but 2nd, I could see him moving. I could see him being picked in the 2nd or the 3rd. I don't know if he would be 1st round.
Right.
It's interesting with the news today with, Stephon Diggs going to the Patriots, and the Patriots picking 4th. You think they probably go O-line in that first round now rather than receiver, right? So that could kind of
or edge defender maybe.
Or edge, yeah, exactly. Like, so I don't know, like before this deal, I had them possibly going receiver early. Now that they added a veteran stud like Stephon Diggs, maybe they won't pick, a receiver in the first round. So could tilt the board a little.
Everybody in the chat, let us know which receiver you want at what pick, if you don't mind. I'd really like to get everybody's take. Prince in the chat says Trey Harris would be my pick in the second round. Coach Lynn says I'm starting to lean towards Trey Harris in the second. That's what our board says we should do. But if you're asking my personal opinion, either of them are good. Either of them are okay with me. But looking at the things we've uncovered the last few days in terms of where they sit on the board in conjunction with the drop percentage and the man coverage, against man coverage, if they're both on the board, I think I'm going Jaden Higgins. I really do. Because he's got a little bit more than Trey Harris overall, in my opinion. A little bit more size, right? Obviously, the only thing that you could look at him and knock him on is the talent he played against, right? Like his opponents. Because obviously Trey Harris playing in the SEC and of course Jaden Higgins playing in the what is it again that he played in? Was it the Mountain West or what was it? Where's Iowa State at?
What's Iowa State?
Is that Sun Belt? No,
I think it's
this. It doesn't even matter where it's at. This right here is the perfect answer. All of us going, where are they? What conference is that? That's it, right? So,
his receiving is tough.
What do you guys? I'm starting to be more and more impressed with Pat Bryant, guys. I mean,
Yes.
That was kind of my homer. When you look at this, other than where he is on the PTA big board, this dude is in rare air. You know what I'm saying? 1.8% drop rate. And then if you look at his grade against man, I believe it's just below. If you scroll just a couple clicks down, Clay, right there, 81.5. I'll take that. I think that the guy's a true 6'4", 200 pounds. Like, let's go.
Yeah, and Emilio, what we ended this with here is just trying to. There's Pat Bryant right there. By the way, some 6 sleeves too. I'm just going to say
Captain.
Yeah, can somebody tell me what's on his shoulder right there? Is that a C? Is that what I'm seeing right there? Is that a C?
Put
right
it
there?
on the board. Hold
Put it on the
on.
board.
Put it on the bird.
He's going to
So-
hate Green Bay. We pick a new one every week.
That's jeez.
Hey, you can just walk out to the 50 and say, "Hell,
I was gonna say sometimes we don't even pick them. Sometimes they pick themselves.
Yep.
So Emilio, while you're topping that in and pretending like you're listening to me,
Yep.
what we're staying in with the value now is Jaden Higgins at 54, Pat Bryant at 124, and Elijah Badger at 198. Man, Pat Bryant at 124 would be sick. What pick would that be, boys? Help me with the mathematics there. Anybody know as it's coming through? I'm going to kill a little time here, and we'll just wait just a second. Bang. Oh, looky there.
4th round.
4. That'd be pretty nice, wouldn't it?
Mhm.
A round 4 pickup. Now, if we wait till round 4 to pick him, it's going to get loud. You know it is.
Yeah.
But I don't care. I think that would be a solid pick. It's crazy, too, because if I remember correctly, Jake Shavinka is an alum, right, at Illinois. And I had asked him about Pat Bryant earlier in the season, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I got the vibe that he wasn't as big on Pat Bryant as most people, but he may approach it kind of like I do with Notre Dame and Kentucky. Like, I'm not going to just sit here and talk up my favorite school when, there's other prospects that are better. But, yeah, I'm with you, Jacob. Pat Bryant. You like them steals, though, baby. You like them bargain bins. At the end.
That sounds like a Ross boss to me, baby.
What are you seeing over, Amelia? Anything sticking out to you with you adding that captain patch in?
Yeah, I mean he's in good company around the 127 spot, 200s, 300s, and last year he turned it up. So I mean it was a good time. The only one that has him on the board though is 33rd team, so he's not on Dane or DJ's boards yet. I think that there's just so much depth in the wide receiver market that in the draft that you can find something later on. You don't need to pay that 5th-year option, that high dollar in the first round. Go ahead and just get him on a 4-year deal and move forward with it. I mean, we've done it 3, 4, 5 times. Our whole wide receiver room is on the 4-year deal train. Why would we switch it up now? I mean, it's been working. I know that everyone's mad. If you want to go get a number 1 wide receiver, trade up and get Travis Hunter. I mean,
right.
You got a guy that fills both your needs, that wide receiver, and you need a backup quarterback, or you put him out in dime package, he's there. Like if you really want a number 1 wide receiver, do that for me.
Yeah. Emilio coming in here a little saucy tonight.
Well,
Y'all
dude,
picking up on that?
That was caliente, my friend.
We must have had to change the blades on the mower today. That's
yeah.
bad.
Oh yeah. It was tough morning. Tough morning. Loaded up the wrong mulch in the trailer, and it was,
Hey, listen, it happens to
How
everybody.
dare you?
Emilio, listen, no worries, dude. You kidding me? I just shelled out $6,000 for a fireplace. Came home, it's the wrong size, and it's dinged all to hell.
yep.
Pause for dramatic effect.
Yep.
Get ready to go.
That's what I said. And they said, so would you like to keep it here? I went, no, get it ready to go. Get it the heck out of my house.
Get ready to go.
So anyway, so a couple in here. Hit the chats for me. The guys and gals that are mentioning their favorite wide receivers. Jacob, read it to me.
Yeah,
see
sure.
what
Prince back up there. He was talking about Dante Thornton out of
Deontay Thornton.
or
Yeah.
is it Deontay?
I don't know.
I think it's Dante. If it's
Dante Thornton Jr.
Right here.
out of Tennessee, graded out at an 80.2 last year. I think he would be a viable option beyond the fourth round. I don't know where's Dante Thornton on our board.
275.
Okay,
Yeah, he's fairly low on
But-
our
fourth
But
round.
has a -5 RAS, Tim. So good eye.
And in terms of drop percentage, like Jacob said, anything below 8% deemed good. He's sitting at 7.1% drop rate. He's 38th in that category, but still not horrible in that regard. And then they've also got him 36th against man coverage at a 68.9. He's not one of my favorite prospects, but boy, he's a physical freak. There's no two ways about that. Go ahead, Jacob. Next one.
Deadfish says, I'd like Jay Higgins at 54. I'd be okay with Harris there too. If they don't have a wide receiver pick by 159, take Badger. I'd like them to take only one wide receiver, but with the value in this draft, I'd be okay with two. Mr. Coach Len comes in and says, Torrey Horton in the third or fourth. He's good with that as well. Andy Monday says we should trade with Baltimore from 54 to 59. They'll give us 129, giving us another pick to either stay in that second round area there and make a pick. Otherwise, they give us an extra one to do in the late third, early fourth there. I kind of agree with that. I like that. Brambo became a member for 4 months, and he just says, honestly, draft in Green Bay. We know they trade out of the first, probably. Yeah.
Get ready to go.
We're probably the only people that would be in the crowd cheering about that.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody'd run us out of there if we were actually at the draft at that moment for sure. So I had a lot of people reaching out asking, are we doing a draft show? It's amazing how many people reached out and said, I found your channel through your draft show last year. Like, we are doing a draft show. I may be alone. I may have the guys with me. They've got the freedom to run around whatever they want to do while we're in Green Bay. But I'm definitely going to be doing a show. And like Emilio said, who knows, man, if he gets a little dead, he might run over there and give us a little live stream from the show and show us the vibe there. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was planning on. I might go rover here. I might be running a little post and maybe come up into the box. I don't know. We'll see.
Absolutely, man. Did you get to listen to any pods today and hear anything about wide receivers? Because I was listening to the GM Shuffle. Who's the GM on there now?
Mark Dominic.
Mark Dominic, and he was with before.
Yes.
What team? What team was he?
Bucks.
The Bucks. Okay, the Buccaneers. So did I hear him correctly? Did you listen today by chance?
Yeah.
Okay. Did he say Matthew Golden was his top receiver, or did he say Luther Burden? Maybe there was one of them.
LB3 was. I just texted. I had it all written out. I forgot to send the text, but LB3 he had at a 1-0, so that means anywhere from first pick to 10th pick overall. The at 2 he had T-Mac at a 1.5, so anywhere from 11 to 19. Golden was also in that 2 to 3 range with T-Mac at a 1.5, and then Ibuka was 4 at a 1.9, so anywhere from 19 to 32 or 20 to 32.
And if you look here on the information, Luther Burden, we haven't talked about him much in the last couple of days. Luther Burden is number 2 on our big board at wide receiver, only behind Tet McMillan.
Right.
His drop percentage is 4.7%. Tet McMillan's is 7.7%.
You know why they liked LB3 a lot more than Tech is because he has they say he has a lot stronger legs. He's got a lot stronger base from the waist down. He has more drive. When he gets tackled, he's falling forward. He's saying that, Tech's not afraid to go up and get the ball, right, but he's just kind of lengthy, a little bit skinny and waist down. So it's that could be something obviously he can work on. He's got the frame, but if you just don't have that drive, sometimes it never it never surfaces. But I would be the way they talk about him, I still need to watch tape, but Luther's got it.
Yeah. Again, when you hear a former GM say, "Hey, that's my wide receiver one," and I don't think anybody expected that either with LB3. Like it kind of caught me off guard. Didn't he say something about him always falling forward too, always falling forward driving?
Always 2 yards that's the hidden yardage. I mean, if you have and at his size, how can you turn that down? You're able to get positive yardage even after the catch. He's always breaking tackles. It's just, you get a big frame guy like T-Mac, you might not get that.
And the only thing that you could push back negatively in this exercise we did when it comes to Luther Burden III is he's 18th in PFF grade against man coverage at 78.8, which still isn't bad. Like that's, you know what I'm saying? That's still a solid grade. So anything else we want to hit on here at wide receiver before we move it along, Jen?
Yeah, I mean, real quick, for all of you that thought maybe Jack Bech was going to get drafted by the Packers, it's not going to happen. Daryl knows. He said that he made his intentions clear that he would rather play for the Saints or the Cowboys. So obviously, it's he's not going to go to Green Bay because that's how it works.
We just got that confirmed. I appreciate that.
We did.
Who in the hell is Mel Kiper in a way?
Coach Len is talking about how Burden reminds him of Greg Jennings. That's kind of a good comp.
That's a good comp.
That's a very good comp. Yeah.
Greg Jennings, listen, I know he kind of flaked out at the end, and he became this dude that is like he was obsessed with just always talking about Aaron Rodgers. But that man, when he came on the scene, dude, was he a second round pick or was he later? Why do I
thought he was a second?
I think he was a second too. That dude, very, very underrated football player when he was in Green Bay. Now, he went to Minnesota and realized, wow, this sucks over here, as they had a crappy program. But he was a lot of fun to watch. Man, I always think of that game winner that Favre hit him on. It might have been his rookie year, maybe at least a second year, against Denver in overtime. If you guys haven't seen that, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube, where Mike Tirico says, unbelievable.
That's right.
Second round pick confirmed for Greg Jennings. Yep. 52nd overall, 2006 draft.
Think of the Super Bowl down the seam against Tampa. He gets nailed by Troy Polamalu, still holds on to the football, right? And then they put him in that corner route. They ran Tampa again. And I think, if I remember correctly, he told Mike, if you put anybody in the 3 and run a corner, home run. And that's exactly what happened. They threw him in the 3, and that what they mean by Tampa was they were biting down with Tampa 2 and left the corner open when they were supposed to be running Tampa, which you guys know what Tampa 2 is. They caught Troy Polamalu peeking on the 3 when he was supposed to be covering deep right from the offensive perspective. So he bit in on a little move and just lights out. Greg Jennings in the corner. What are you grinning about over there, Amelia? What the hell's your problem, sir?
It was reminding me of that Greg Jennings video that came out with the dude that was playing Xbox. He threw it to him. He goes, Greg Jennings caught it though. He got the broken leg. He's putting the team on his back. And then Darren Crawford dunks. Oh,
look at this! One of the hardest hitting safeties in the league.
Greg
the
Jennings
best part though was at the end. People don't know why he screamed the obscenity at the end. If you pay attention to the video, one of his somebody who was in the group that he was in the party chat, his name was Gumby. And he left the chat and he just went, F you, Gumby. Absolutely awesome. Oh, we were so immature, man. So immature. So yeah, anybody else you want to look at on the list here before we wrap up, gents?
Can we look at Jack Bech
on the list? My bad, Tim.
What'd you say, Tim?
Can we look at Jack Bech again?
Yeah, let's look at Jack Bech again. You want to? Once again, 10th.
He's 10th. Okay.
10th. Yeah. So
6th.
He's not worthy to be drafted, but he's 10th on the PTA big board. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes to drop,
good Senior Bowl too.
Yeah, he was the Senior Bowl MVP. Okay, got that one.
Drop rate of 1.6%. Is that good? High score? What does that mean?
Yeah, and again,
he had a -5 RAS.
What'd you say?
He had a -5 RAS, so he was a 9 or higher. Yep.
So maybe he is draftable. I don't know, man. Andy Monday in the chat. Listened all day to last few days pods while on the route. Now listening live. It's a good day. Appreciate you hanging out with us, Andy. You are the man. Let's see what Aggressive for UFO says here before we wrap up hour 1. He says, Clayton, I want to go D tackle, then edge. My main focus, corners and wide receivers in the later rounds. It's feeling like wide receiver. You you might want to not, again, don't even worry about it in the first round. Just kind of
Mm-hmm.
see if it falls right in the second, and you can get either Jaden Higgins or Trey Harris. And if it don't, then go after Pat Bryant. If that don't work out, go after Elijah Badger. I'm telling you, I'm blown away by Elijah Badger because, Emilio, where's he on our board? He is in the basement, is he not? If I remember correctly, and his first name's
203.
What is it?
203.
Okay, not as bad as I thought. And this is how he got to 203. PFF in 2022, 133rd at his position. Then he jumped to 107th. Then he jumped to 81st. The main thing that's bringing him down is the PFF big board had him in the 210 spot at the end of the year. Do either Tim or Jacob, y'all have access to the PFF big board to tell me where they have Elijah Badger currently, wide receiver out of Florida?
Badger is 290.
So he sank even further. Wow.
Ugh.
So it sounds like he's higher on our board than most people's then, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. That's a fun talk. So again, we've hit on wide receiver talk a lot the last few weeks, and we've done it intentionally because I wanted to get through that exercise of, okay, these guys check the box, take it to the next step. These guys check the box, take it to the next step, and now you're left with 3 or 4 that we really, really like. So that's going to do it. Go ahead, Jake.
Sorry, real quick to end round 1 here, or episode 1. Elijah Badger is about as consistent as a man can be at this position. 2022, 76-1, 2023, 76-7, 2024, 78-6. He had 863 yards, 713 yards, 806 yards. This last year, though, he averaged over 20.7 yards per reception. Hey there. And a contested catch rate of 68.8, a drop rate of 0.0. That's pretty good. Receiving grade of 81.5, yards per route run of 2.96, and a grade versus man coverage of 88.5.
He was the best guy around.
And by the way, he's trended 26% to the Green Bay Packers. The next highest are tied between the San Francisco 49ers and the Chargers at 8% each. Let's go. He's a Badger.
Also, on the scouting report, it says he glides in the sheets. That's going to do it for hour 1. We will see you on the other side for hour 2. We appreciate y'all.
Mm-hmm.